Then I'll call the meeting to order. All rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As a reminder, these proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. Recordings are overwritten following the approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. This evening, yes? Nobody out of the normal?
Don't see any.
And first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from February 20th, 25.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
Ian makes a motion. Richard seconds. Any additions, changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, the Water Authority funding percentage gap proposal. Gap proposal. Did you want to review that, Anna?
Yeah, I feel like I would prefer this to be like a discussion amongst you guys and us. So, based on the commissioner's request and me meeting with the advisors and their recommendation, they recommend doing a 30% funding cap on projects submitted from municipalities or municipal authorities,
Not municipalities, just municipal water.
just municipal water authorities, so we have to say like municipal authorities because they're not all called water authorities, so not just the municipalities. And then just for on conservation easement projects, not the acquisitions. So that's kind of one of the things we are recommending. I know some other ideas had kind of been shared with me, such as just doing a total, so that would be a 30% funding cap for the funding for that specific project of the funding from the county. So I hope that made sense. So I guess like a different way we could go about it, would be like putting a total cap on the bond referendum for water authority projects. So like $2 or $3 million instead of like 30% each project. But that's really for you guys to discuss.
And so it's 30% of like the value of the easement, correct?
Yes.
Or maybe of the project.
Yeah,
Okay,
I thought it was
of
of the project.
Of the,
Yeah.
like.
So instead of,
easement plus
instead
the
of, yeah,
additional-
so instead of 50%, it's 30%.
Yeah, because it includes like the transaction costs that we'll cover in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in favor of that more so than having just a general cap on the project. I don't know.
My feeling is we defer this back to the commissioners. That's really outside our purview. I mean, we're evaluating the project and we're not elected officials, so if we're getting into dictating funding caps or more or less, I don't feel comfortable with that, but that's, I mean, it may all be for naught anyway. That might have just been an outlier of that project. Who knows? Or we may get another one, but they have the ability, even if we approve it, they could say it's outside of it's too much. We can't afford it right now. We don't want to put that burden on the taxpayers.
Well, I think the commissioners have already like decided that this is what they would like, correct? And they're just looking for our feedback on it.
Mhm.
I'm just saying I'm in agreement with it. I don't have an issue with it if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, as
I
long
think
as
it's
we don't have to
reasonable.
take formal action on it, that's all I was concerned about.
Yeah.
If we're just saying, yeah, we're,
Yeah, I
You
don't
hear
have
what
any
they're saying?
opposition to it.
I
Well,
sort
there's
of
always-
agree with David's observation there. We can just throw our idea up to them, but they have the final hammer every time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Good idea.
And it could be there's a project that comes up that's like 31% or whatever, you know, whatever it's kind of comes in, or 29%, whatever comes in front of us, then we have the discretion to say, you know, this fits in the criteria. You said this was the parameters, but we might be able to make this work with a few extra dollars or something else in the mix. What do you think, commissioners? We think this is good, but you have to give us your final say. So we could say 30, but until we have projects in hand, we don't know what that math is.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. We really don't know what projects are gonna come down the line. So why stop us now when we're not sure what projects are coming if there is that ability to be able to support this, right?
Yeah.
It's just such an unknown.
And additionally, across other counties, do they have anything within their open space programs that specifically note water authority projects or any provisions
government
within that?
agencies, Other agencies.
Because I don't believe it's kind of like a standardized practice, so I was trying to figure out like if that's something, all right, so this is normal, like we need to put a cap on it or.
It seemed at the meeting that they were very concerned that because the One Water Authority is funded, you're gonna get a whole bunch of other projects. And so that's why they were looking to you to get it, you know, to kind of recommend back to them
Yeah.
the cap. But, you know, I think we all agree, yeah, you don't know what's coming in. The fact that this one, the Pine Run easement is moving forward is due to the fact that we had matching funds. And it's extremely difficult to get matching funds, especially, you know, for conservation easements. So it's very possible that's gonna be a one-off. But there was still the concern on their end. So because, you know,
Have you or Dennis run into issues of interagencies being a problem versus private landowners? I mean, that's typically what we deal with, right? Private farms, private
Yeah, I'm-
large tracts of lands, not land that's owned by a government entity or another agency.
I mean, there have been other water authority lands that have had easements on them, put on them, but I think that. I don't think necessarily that, I don't know if they had local county funding that went towards that, so I can't really speak to how counties normally handle it.
No, I just wondered if you run into.
No, I mean, I'm aware that there's, you know, been easements purchased on water authority lands, but I'm not quite sure where the money came from, so I don't know if any of it had come from a different county or not.
I know that when the Pine Run project was still in the works, I did look into the Bethlehem Water Authority, and I don't think there was like how they put their easement on. And I don't remember there being any like restriction of funding like not coming from like their municipality kind of thing, but they didn't have like a grant program like we do that I'm aware of that they used.
What about Northampton County? Because wasn't that something the commissioners were looking at with, like, kind of looking at their program?
Mhm. Yeah, so I've like met with them to kind of go over some of this stuff, but I didn't get to ask them about that. That completely slipped my mind. I apologize.
I'm just saying that it could be a reference.
Yeah, I can look into that too and let you guys know. We can always bring this back up.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing anything specific
Yeah.
to that in their guidelines, and
Yeah.
I'm not aware of the issue having come up. That's not to say that it hasn't, because I didn't research it, but I don't remember seeing anything about it, so I don't know if they'd have guidance.
Like I have their program manual
Yeah.
from when I started and I went to their workshop that we kind of do. And I don't remember that ever being mentioned, so I don't really think that they are concerned about that either.
Is there data on how much property in Carbon County would fall under this
Yeah,
situation?
I believe there is, and I
How many
remember,
acres or how many different agencies or?
I think I remember the number being around 22,000 acres. And I think I remember,
Did that include the one that we just
Yeah,
Delta.
and 11,000 acres of that, I think about was Bethlehem Water Authority, so the rest of it is all of the other ones.
And there were, what, like 3, 4, 5 other water authorities in Carbon County.
There's a good amount, like maybe like 10, closer to 10.
But not large tracks.
Some
huge
of them,
tracks.
some of them are pretty big, yeah, but they're not as big as the Lehigh Water Authority. I don't think any of them are as big as that one or the Bethlehem Water Authority. Those are the two largest, and they already have conservation easements.
So the smaller tracks essentially fall underneath that 30% threshold anyway, I would think. Just doing the numbers in my head, so we're
Mhm.
talking Bethlehem and maybe one other possibility, which,
Well, I think it's not an acreage thing, it's a 30% match as opposed to
know.
a 50% match.
But I
So
know.
just because it's smaller doesn't mean that they,
I get that, but still, to put
Purchase
things in
possibility.
reference points, yeah.
Is this something that has to be decided?
No,
No.
that's been decided to table it, come back to it another time, or just kind of.
Or say that we'll pass it on to whatever the commissioners see fit. I mean, we could make a motion to say we're good
Leave
with
it up to them.
their decision.
Yeah, I mean, do we think there will be projects that this will pose an issue, like where we think we should be funding 40 or 50%?
Well,
And we're capped at 30, or is there a way that we can make it so, under special circumstances, we can do more?
that's what it will be. It won't be written into the program manual that it can't go over 30%. The commissioners can make an exception to do 40 or 50%.
So how will it be written then? Or if there isn't anything going to be?
I don't think that we planned on writing it into the manual.
We had it in the manual that it was a match of up to 50%.
Mhm.
So, but we have the deference to say, we'll only do so much on XYZ project. And I think that was more along the lines of, if we don't have money or if we're trying to figure out between multiple applications, but we gave ourselves that out.
But there's the 30% of a project, and there's a whole, initially, my understanding was their question was 30% of the entire monies available.
No.
That we were only gonna allow, or they were only gonna allow 30% of that $10 million could go toward water authority projects total. So if we've already used up some,
no,
Yeah,
no,
we're not-
it's 30%.
Not discussing that.
so it was 30%, they were changing the,
A 30, from
The
50, up
ratio
to
in-
50% match to they'll only go to 30% match.
so but then they'd have to change that. We've already,
They wouldn't be changing it. They would just kind of be like the internal idea. From, I guess, for.
no, but in
everyone.
the criteria, it's laid out very clearly.
Yeah,
So are they gonna change the criteria?
no.
Okay, goes back to my initial
Not
thing.
that I'm aware of, no. Because everyone else will still be at 50%. It's just they're worried that all of the water authorities are gonna come looking for the funding, and they don't want just the water authorities to use the $10 million. They want to be able to do.
Some of it
private
was
landowner
question on
projects.
how the land was acquired and
Yeah.
gifted.
I-
Yeah,
I totally
yeah.
agree in that. I brought that concern up myself, but that's not. I don't think that's under our purview, that if they choose to do that, they have the right to do that.
Mhm.
We approve the project, yes or no, and they can still say, you know what, we're not spending that money for the agencies, we want to use it for private land. They have that total authority to do that.
When the commissioners approve, if, in that case, can they then just come back at us and approve it at the 30% then?
They basically can do anything they want.
Right, so it is back in their hands, I agree,
But then they'd have to go back to the original people that
true.
they might have, I don't know if they'd have to resubmit it, or maybe that's when they do it. When the
I think that if,
the
if,
projects come in.
yeah, I think it would be
Before
something
it
that
comes
would,
to us.
yeah.
That would be the proper thing.
Right.
It would be something that if that's what the commissioners want to see, is that when, if a, you know, a land trust were to work on one of those projects, they would talk to Anna about it, and she would let them know that as it stands, the commissioners are not going to fund it over 30% match, so yeah, it would happen ahead of time, and
Right, okay.
but I know, I can foresee if somebody thought it was a really great project, I'm gonna submit and ask for 50 anyway, if they only give me 30, okay, but I think it would be something that you would know up front, so you wouldn't be counting on, it's a great project, it's gonna get 50, you would know up front that it's likely it's only gonna get 30.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. I mean, obviously Anna knows, and I think the applicants are all gonna know that, you know, there was pushback on this last one. It's not gonna be a free for all that. I don't know that, yeah, we necessarily need to put something official in there. But I guess it ultimately is up to the commissioners to do so either way.
Yeah, I don't think their intent is to put something official into
Yeah.
the manual. It's just kind of for our internal use, so when an applicant comes to me, if they are a water authority, I can say to them, you know, you're unlikely to get more than 30%.
Yeah.
The commissioners don't want to do that, so, and I can also I'll be in communication with the commissioners, you know. This is a really good project and you guys all rank it really high. Maybe they'll want to consider doing more than 30%. And that's why we won't put it in the manual. It's just all up to them. But I think they were just kind of looking for what you guys thought about it. And
Yeah, I don't
really, yeah, this
have a
discussion.
problem of making some restrictions, but
Mhm,
that all should be done before the project comes to us
yeah,
to evaluate.
Right.
Yeah, it's not
If
going to change the criteria that we're evaluating it on in any way. It'll still rank the same way.
Yep.
I think,
Yeah, it'll all,
based on what they're asking for.
It would be different if you had like for this grant round, you guys can award this much money, so in that case, you would already be thinking, well, we can't give that, this is a good project, but so is this, so we're gonna give them 30 and them 40, and of course, there'd have to be, you know, back and forth with Anna of like, hey, can you guys still do the project if we do this, and lots of behind the scenes stuff, so I guess to a certain extent, maybe it's good that you don't know how much money is sitting there to be spent, because you can just rank it on the criteria.
And it may be a question of if they're coming to us first and then going out for other match money. So, you know, that's also with that other project, we knew that there was so much other match money already out there. So it may make a different conversation based on where we fit in the process with that discovery.
but we'll have to make some adjustment. If we get a project that comes through, it's only the 30%. We have to make some adjustment on that criteria, because it says on the criteria 50%, doesn't it?
I believe it says that, just that they have
Or
match
up.
funding.
It doesn't have a percentage.
I don't think
I
so.
don't
was
think so.
looking for that sheet, but
I have that here. I'm
I
happy
just
to,
want to make sure we don't get into conflict there, that it's already on the sheet. Now we gotta make an addendum to that.
I don't think it is.
yeah, no, I don't think it is. I don't have like the actual sheet itself, but at the back of the program manual, under the feasibility section, it just says the applicant's ability to leverage county funding with matching funding or donation value.
Okay,
So that won't be an issue.
good. Do you have what you need to go back to talk?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you guys need to make a motion. I'll just let them know these things. Yeah, we had a good discussion of that.
Do you have something to put in the minutes? Who's taking minutes? Oh, you are.
I'll use the.
Just so we have something in the minutes that
Yeah.
whether or not there was official action taken or discussion in the recommendation.
Yeah.
We need an official motion to say basically what we said, do that.
I don't think that you do.
No, I think unless you're making a recommendation, you don't need a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not changing anything. We reviewed it. Okay,
Discussed.
That sounds good.
very good. We'll move into item 6, the municipal outreach planning update. Anna, I think that's yours.
So I met with Dawn and Maggie from Wildlands, who does their mapping, GIS kind of stuff. And so we came up with some new regions of how we're going to approach the municipalities for the outreach. So I'm gonna pull that up as a map on the computer. And I'll continue explaining that. Hopefully I can get this thing to be nice to me.
Dennis, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good, thanks.
Share
Yeah,
my
I've been-
screen.
Anna's pretty soft spoken. I just want to make sure that's coming through on the recording in case she needs it for notes.
That's a good point, thank you. Luckily I have, oh no, okay. Dennis, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Alrighty. So this is the map we've come up with. We're going to start with the Northwest region. And the first upcoming municipal meeting is Lehigh Township, so we're gonna go to their meeting on April 7th. I called them today and got us on the agenda. And then from there, we're just gonna go to Beaver Meadows and let them know about it too. We know it's unlikely that they might have opportunity for the project or for the program, but we just want to include everybody, so. And then from the Northwest region, we'll go to the Northeast region. So that's Kidder Township, Penn Forest, and Eastside Borough. And then after that, we'll move down to the Kittatinny Ridge region, which is the East Penn Township, the Lower Toe, and Palmerton, and I believe that's Bowmanstown. And then after that, we'll figure out the other two. But for now, we're gonna start out with those three.
So what we did is we pulled up the different layers that we had showed you guys back when we were doing the criteria. And right now you can see the over 50 acre layers, or over 50 acres layer. And so in looking at like places that had properties over 50 acres, where there was lots of forest and where the water was, that's how we prioritized going to the northwest, the northeast, and then down by the Kittatinny. Because we wanted to reach out to those groups first, and so now we've got 5 different regions, and then kind of, you know, introduce everything to them and try and figure out who from their municipality will be the representative that's gonna go to the regional meetings that we have, which will have, you know, the Conservation 101 information, and we'll give a presentation on the open space program, and we'll also have maps so they can, you know, we can interact with them and see what areas are important to them and their municipalities to protect.
So that's just the update on how we plan to go about the municipal outreach. Yeah, so the first places we'll be going to are Lehigh Township and Beaver Meadows. If anyone is familiar with those areas or some of the board members there, please join us on April 7th. And I will definitely continue to update you guys throughout the next couple weeks as we plan to go to the rest of them. But for the month of April, it'll mostly be in that northwest, the green outlined region. And then I'll send out more updates once I get us on the northwest region schedules, to let you guys know to come to those if you're available.
Those evening meetings?
Most of them are evening meetings.
Except for Lehigh.
Yeah, Lehigh Township is at 1 p.m. So, but that's the only one. I think there might have been one other one, but it wasn't like the supervisor or township like board meeting. It was like a planning commission meeting or something like that. So we're not even sure that we'll go to that one, but. Yep, the rest of them are like usually 6 to 7 o'clock.
We're trying to do it so at most, at most we would go to 2 different night meetings, because we don't want to schedule. Nobody wants to go to a night meeting like every day of the week.
Definitely not. Yeah, so that was all for this. Does anyone have any questions or anything?
You're gonna send us that, oh,
Sure.
email it?
Mhm.
That, I like that map, that
Yeah, right? It's very nice.
did a nice job of
putting it
putting together, yeah.
Mhm.
it's
I
got-
will let Maggie know that because,
Yeah.
there's lots of back and forth on it.
Yeah,
But
there
we
were
wanted to make it so it was easily, you could visually see what we were trying to get across, so.
We
But
looked at.
there's similar geographies, I think,
Mhm.
too, so, you know, even though you got big areas in some areas, there's more open or preserved land up there, so it's not,
Yep.
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah.
like there's more available, you know, in that regard, so you did a nice job, I think, of coordinating that.
Yeah, Maggie did a really great job. Yeah, we had some other layers on there, like the priority forested area, but it was just a lot going on, so. We went with just this.
This would be a good reference too, if we get projects, we just take a pin
Yeah.
or a marker, mark where it is on this map, so we can kind of track what we're doing, or we could even put the ones that are all, once they're approved,
Mhm.
the two that we did, put them on there
Yeah, that's a good idea.
to try to track our progress, and at some point, you know, again, another opportunity for a media
Mhm.
story, here's what we've done, you know, give them some graphics to show.
Mhm. I like that idea. I'll note that when I do the minutes. Anything else with this? All right,
Is that all for that item then?
I think so.
Very good.
Okay.
Then we'll move on to item 7, the open space program funding signage,
Okay,
which
so.
we have in front of us here, right?
There's a few set out. Almost enough for all of you. Yep, look through that. There's another one. And they will go up on the screen now as well. So this is the fun part, so, I have up here a couple examples. So up here is the Monroe County Open Space logo, and then that's an example of their sign. Obviously that sign was kind of for a different purpose than what we're doing. But this is just an example of kind of how they set things up. And then these are just some other examples. Let me see if I can move this thing. There we go. Okay. So those are just some other signs. This was like kind of just my inspiration that helped make these. So this obviously is like the first option, and it's just the open space logo. So there are two different versions here. You can kind of see this is the original logo. It doesn't have a border around it. So if we are gonna go with this one and we want to put it on a sign, I would recommend putting a border on here. I just did the dark green for that one. We can do any color. I can change it right now if you guys want to look at other colors. But you can just kind of see the difference of how it's a little bit bolder with the border than without, and I would just recommend doing that. And then for some other ones with some more text, there's this one, just acknowledges that when the taxpayers get that tax, they'll kind of know what it's really going towards, and they'll be able to see it when they're out doing their recreational activities. This is another one. This one acknowledges the Board of Commissioners and you guys, and it just has the commissioner's logo. It's also like that different shape. And then here's another one that's kind of similar. Keeps your logo pretty nice and big. And then just this is kind of a little comparison of all of them, what they might look like as an actual sign. So I did want to make the printouts if there's anything you guys want to like draw up and mark. If you want to like say, like this one, but add like this part to that one, you can get those to me within like 2 weeks. But also if we want to just like, we're doing pretty good on time. If we want to just take like 5 to 10 minutes and you guys want to talk about it, draw things, we can point things out. I can change things on this PowerPoint. We can go about it anyway. If you guys really like one. But yeah, just looking for any feedback and you guys to kind of talk about this. Because I know that we do want our own logo at the sites, not just our logo on the acknowledgement sign where it'll be small. So,
So, Dawn, with some of these other projects, so one of the signs said, you know, this was also DCNR. do we want it, or is it,
Well, so I
is it
think.
kind of expected that like all the other entities are all on one, or do they all do their own, or what's sort of the?
So I think they're most likely in a lot of cases will be that one acknowledgement sign that
Mhm.
has like all the grant required language on it, like especially if it's got DCNR funds.
Mhm.
But I think what the county wanted to do was have their own sign, so even if the logo's on the other sign, that then there would still also be a county sign, so that it was very clear that the money came from the county.
Those other ones, are those paid for, or does the person, the entity preserving the land have to pay for every single sign?
So that was the other thing. So the county, for these, the county was going to try and pay for them
Okay.
out of county money, so then you could just give them the acknowledgement signs generally take a lot longer. With the DCNR grant, they will pay for part of that,
Okay.
except the problem is that especially like if you've got to preserve, there's a lot you got to do before you like go put a sign in the ground. And I think the nice thing about this is that, hey, once you've closed, there's a lot, the sign's being provided, you don't have to go through the whole design the sign, print the sign, figure out exactly where the sign's gonna be, where the parking area is gonna be, where the sign's gonna be. Cause that could take a long time before that sign gets up, but this sign, which
Would be
is
set.
provided by the county,
Yeah.
is something that could go up a lot more quickly.
Okay.
And like our program manual, there will still be an acknowledgement sign that has this logo on it and like says the Board of Commissioners, Carbon County. But that'll be on the sign with all of the DCNR signage.
If you're gonna ask these people to buy 6 signs.
No.
All you have are billboards, and we
Yeah.
can put it all into one and just be done with it.
And it's part of we provide up to 50% of the funding for it, so we're not covering the cost of both signs
So
either.
it can go up earlier. I would just suggest that whatever sign you make, have it be one post. So maybe instead of, so the circle's nice because it goes on the one post.
Mhm.
All the other ones, maybe instead of being horizontal, if they were vertical with the words, it would be more stable on one post.
Okay. And like that's a pretty easy fix, but it will look a little different, but.
I mean, it would look very similar. It's just you just
Mhm.
push it this way, and so there's
Yeah.
more words going down than.
Yeah. And this can always be like something we bring back to the next meeting, because even if we close on the Resika project in May, I don't think the press conference is gonna be that day. It'll probably be maybe at least a month away, so.
We got a little bit of time on this.
Is the
Yeah.
thought that these are gonna be metal or wooden?
It would be metal, I
Okay.
think, yeah. Right.
And how many signs would you need just at one access point, basically?
Yeah, I was
Like a
thinking,
key access point?
yeah, just like one at each, yeah.
Anybody have any strong feelings or?
I mean, if you have a
Adjustments?
decent enough post, you can do the square metal one. You just need, like you said, you need something to keep it stable. The ones I've seen have been actually on telephone posts on properties, and then it's got a triangle to it to hold it secure, so you're not flopping in the wind, but.
No, it's harder to dig 2 holes than 1 hole,
Right.
Yeah,
and we have to
especially
maintain-
around these parts.
Yeah.
So that was that. I
Dennis can attest to that, right, Dennis?
Please have-
Yes. Anna,
Were you doing the thing?
I had to unmute. Anna, you did a great job with these options. This is really cool.
Thank you, Dennis.
Did you get any indication, or maybe the commissioners haven't seen it, should we include the county logo that's in the last one on the right?
That I do not know. I was wondering that too, but really, like, when you guys say, I'm gonna take all of the options to them anyway.
So I will say, just as a thought process, love the fact that all of us are outlined in the last one and we all get credit. But the more words you add, the less people will actually be able to read it while they're zipping past it. So if we want to have it as a functional billboard, we have to keep the amount of verbiage down, or else it just becomes part of the background.
Mhm.
So that just a thought. Not that I want everyone to credit, but once it gets too busy.
No, that's a great point. And the first square or first rectangular one has the largest font. So I really like that because depending upon where this goes, if it goes along a highway, depending upon the speed limit of the highway, people aren't gonna be able to read it unless it's a pretty large font.
7 impressions is. what
And
we
you can
recommend.
even take the open space out of that one because it's kind of redundant. You've got open space at the top,
Mhm.
and we're talking about preservation programs in the circle, and then we got open space tax dollars again. Unless that's I mean, I would assume that's
So for like
your county tax dollars at work.
okay. Mhm.
To your point, fewer words. I just don't like to see a lot of redundancy.
Mm.
Open space, open space, open space. So it's on there 3 times.
Yeah, no, it hammers it home, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
you think about, quite frankly, think about political signs, how much of it did you actually see? And it was the name and you're like, what's that running for? So, that's it. That's all the more the impression you get when you drive past.
Yeah.
And I know we could have a million options here, but the signs I've seen from other counties and other areas where it says this property preserved by Carbon County Open Space Program. So it's identifying, and maybe it's assumed, but I just like the fact that when it says this property, like where this sign sits, this
Mhm.
property is preserved.
I like that.
And then that could take away some of the language at the bottom because
Yeah.
that's what it is, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And for cost, even though the last one has that loop on the top, I've learned from designating signs in the past, if the more standard dimensions you use, the less expensive the sign is to make. So I don't know if there's talking to sign companies then, Anna, to see, what is a standard dimension
Mhm.
that would fit what we want to do, would keep the cost down.
County in there 3 times too. Open space 3 times in counties. I like Dennis's suggestion on this property.
Mhm. So Dave, were you saying like take out the preserved open space here
No, down below.
below? Oh, yes. I wrote that one down. Sorry, this laptop. So like that, but obviously I gotta fix it.
And change the top part, what Dennis said about this property.
Like take out the Carbon County, because we
So
already
is
have.
this property preserved by Carbon County? This property preserved by Carbon County, and then you've got Carbon County Preservation Program.
Yeah,
This property preserved by Carbon County Open Space.
Mhm. Mhm.
take out the Carbon County there, this property preserved.
Like that. Is.
Or this property preserved by, and then you've got the logo,
Yeah,
and then
Right.
your.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And that'll work good if you do it this way.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
You could
let's
probably
do
make
that.
the font a bit smaller and fit
That's what
on
I'm
the line.
thinking.
Yeah. But if they change this, if the sign is
Yeah, it comes in, it comes into a square space, that's
Instead
easier.
of square, it's
Yeah.
taller.
Square works too. No, no, I said the square works, it works equally as well as the rectangle being
Yeah.
vertical, I think. It's more just you don't want too much weight on the sides.
Exactly.
with one pole. Then, yeah.
Is that too small? Is that good?
You think we need a colon?
I can't answer that.
That's eight.
Dawn, I knew you were gonna bring that up.
Where do you want it from?
After the word five.
Okay, thanks.
A dash, hyphen.
You can go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can go either way. Actually, now I almost like it without it.
Better without it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just needed to see it there to.
It's not really text, it's just.
But I also like the fact that it's bringing the logo out,
Yeah.
because I think that's the other pieces that we're trying to focus. All of their words are great, but we want the logo to be the standout piece of it.
I agree.
And I also think that from a visual perspective, maybe making the top words a little bigger and the bottom words a little smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, I would separate that a little bit.
I mean, I like how it was oriented and, well,
Yeah.
maybe,
Let me fix that. Do you think that's small enough? A little smaller?
if you make the top a smidge bigger, then that's probably small enough.
Circle bigger.
So I guess my question is, with big,
I think that's
Oh,
too
the
big.
county tax dollars
Down
down
one.
one, this would be our local residents seeing this most.
Yeah.
Just a question.
I mean, you could just be county, but you know which county you're in, but I mean, if, yeah, it makes it more personal if you say your.
Right.
So do you guys like that one? Is this good? Okay,
So if you
You can
agree,
still run it by the other folks that
Yeah.
aren't here.
Okay.
And say, hey, this is what we were thinking, send the other stuff that.
yeah.
so if your people are in agreement that that's what you would want, I could get a price from my neighbor that does Hulk signs. Are you familiar with Dennis? No? And just see what he say, he charged for it till next
You have
meeting.
an idea, yeah.
Yeah, we have an idea.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, I'm sure he'll
That'd be
do
helpful, yeah, that'd be
that.
helpful to know.
See where the break point is, one, see where the break point in price is, 1, 2, or 7. Since we
The question is, what size is this?
Right.
Yeah,
But-
I don't know.
He's still
This
doing
is
that.
just a
That's for the
PowerPoint.
preservation.
This is a
Takes you
PDF.
out the target
I have
practice.
no idea what size this is.
He's a
Like,
person
I
that
think
does.
I envision it being like this big, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because the words are really
Like 2
large.
feet by a foot
Well, the,
ish.
the farmland press sign is what, like this,
Yeah, it's
basically?
like
So
that.
similar,
Similarly sized.
yeah.
Yeah, I should have brought that down.
Well, that, yeah, I don't have a
Yeah.
point of reference. Is
Yeah.
it big as that whiteboard? No.
Oh, my God.
About the size of the TV,
No, smaller.
smaller.
No bigger than,
That's
I think
almost-
it'd go no bigger than that
You
window.
could make it almost
Oh my
actual
God,
size.
That might even be too big, because if you have a metal sign,
I'm thinking like the
you get
microwave.
wind, you get issues, it gets airborne.
Press the minus sign on the thing. and
Yeah.
People get a good.
Shrink that down a little bit, it'll be almost the actual size, just the view down,
What do you mean?
screen view.
Oh, they want you to shrink the picture on the screen, so it's.
Oh,
the
yeah.
size,
Yeah, that.
Real life size.
Down,
Is that what you meant?
yeah, just
Okay.
like to get it more actual size.
Yeah.
Be a little bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, can somebody walk up there and put their hands so I can
Yeah.
see where their hands are?
Here's a, you know,
Oh, no, I meant like this.
that size.
A good size, right?
Size, so,
I could do it on my phone.
You know, just for a reference,
Probably about the.
pretty close.
You look back with the sign too. That one's pretty helpful.
What are these, 11.5 inches paper?
He ran a
Half
check.
by 80.
Yeah,
He ran a
8.5 by 11,
so like 23.
2 feet almost.
Yeah, almost 2 feet. Or is 2 feet.
It's 2 by 2, but if you
Okay.
If you're gonna make it more narrow, oh, there it is.
I think-
hit the farmland,
Oh,
what we have.
So it would be, turn it this way. So I,
If you turn it this way,
I think a little shorter than that.
Yeah.
be
Yeah, it'll be a little.
A little smaller than that should be good.
Better the other way. Long back. Then you can read it.
Yeah, but I think with that one, like she was saying about.
Yeah.
going
Going that way.
Well, if I mean, if you followed that pattern, you'd basically move the logo and move the wording, but that's.
Yeah.
That'd be the other option, I guess.
Are those- are those
What
more sides?
orientation you want? You want square? Do you want?
Yeah.
He'll have it in the
Rectangle.
computer over there, so I'll get one like that or
Yeah.
one like this.
Yeah.
And you guys.
Yeah, that won't matter to him.
No.
It's more the size and what's gonna be on it.
They'll just pull it up in the computer.
And I can bring like more orientation options next time for the other members too. Okay. Great. Thanks, guys.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Need that button. Is there any other?
Hannah, can you print that out?
Oh, yeah.
The way you have it,
Mhm.
can you print that out and I'll take it with?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Mhm.
Can you print it here?
Well, yeah, I'll print it
Right.
upstairs
Um,
and just give it to him quick, so he can show it to his neighbor. That'll help.
Is there any further business to discuss? Any old business?
Video.
Any new business? Yes,
there's-
Anna?
There's further business. So Marlon has kindly worked with Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau to get the open space logo added to the end of this video. So I would just be looking for you guys to A-OK it, for me to give it to the commissioners to potentially add to the county website. So
That's a good repurpose.
Just the circle logo or what we just?
the
sign
circle logo,
Yeah.
yeah, just the circle, so here's this. Yeah, it's just there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Okay.
Another button.
Telling you, I gotta bring.
Yeah, that was great. Our team, the gentleman who filmed it had it, he just popped it in there. So it's no problem at all. It's a great repurposed video.
With Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried to get him on the board there.
Oh, yeah.
Great person.
He
Yeah.
is. Yeah, he
But
was
that's,
perfect. for
that's
that
great.
piece.
That's the kind of cross
Mhm.
Yeah.
marketing stuff we
Yeah.
could do to get the word out there.
Yeah, so do you guys think this would be helpful on the county website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how much it costs to do a video, so yes, and thank you.
No, it's what we do. I mean, even if you want to show it to the municipalities, it's definitely one of those that.
Yeah,
Like,
that
it tugs
that
you
would be
into-
another
Mhm,
great lead in
Yeah.
or plug it
yeah.
during your meeting with the municipalities for sure.
Yeah, I mean, depending upon
Some
if the county's
validation.
interested in and putting it up on their own social media
Yeah.
and utilizing it to announce, you know, if it, however they want to use it, but they can repurpose it and put it on their own channels.
And then I did want to let everyone know, I met with our team, potentially about filming something down the road as well. So something that is close to this, but zones in on the projects that were completed. So like not necessarily on how to apply for the grant, but more so the impact of somebody like walking the property and speaking about it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's
A
kind
good
of
idea.
their vision
Yeah, good idea.
of that. So that, if that's something we want to do, I can circle back, and what we'd probably do is kind of an exploratory call with some key folks, that you guys can give input, Dawn, Dennis, some board members. And then they would kind of get that idea from everybody, and then it would probably happen potentially maybe end of summer, fall, or however it falls in line with how we want it to. as far as that goes.
Thanks. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
And that'll be
It would
really
be fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, any messaging would be great,
Mhm.
that we have all the pieces together and, you know, it's for people to know about it if they want to preserve their land. I mean, that's-
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be great. I don't think I have anything else for you guys.
Anything else?
Dave. Hey, Dave.
I'm done, but
That's okay. Did they need to motion about the video for the commissioners? Or just they said yes, they like it. They want them to use it. Is that good?
We'll double check with the commissioner just to be on,
Okay.
Yeah, check with the solicitor if we need to approve it, but I can't imagine if there's
Yeah.
no money involved, usually that's.
That's true.
Zero.
I mean, I really
The
don't-
county got a gift.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay.
Anything else to discuss for this evening? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Seconded.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Meeting adjourned.